What's good, y'all? It's your man DJPLICCAPLAYBOY back with another edition of the Perfect Talk Podcast. You know, I like to do no episode without my dog, my partner, my guy, Keith. What it do, brethren?
Good evening, sir. What it is?
Late night, chill sessions. You know how we do like back in the day, son.
Yeah, man. Back in the day, before that bedtime, bro. Before, back when you go to sleep at midnight, wake up at 5, make it to work.
Hell yeah. Yo, remember them days? Remember them days? Living our days in doubt?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, man. If I get less than like 8 hours of sleep, man, I'm calling out.
Nah, it's rough, man. I remember some of them nights where I'd be like, yo, and for this, like for nonsense though, it don't even be for nothing important, just like go party or something like that, something crazy, and then for what? Just to be back out there trying to kill yourself the next day, working an 8-hour shift. Ah, man, nah. You bringing back nightmares, man. But what's good with you? What's going on your side, brother?
I'm chilling, man. Same old, just homeowner shit, man. I told you about that squirrel that was dying in my driveway. I was dealing with that.
Tell the people, man. You woke up to fentanyl laced squirrel.
Yeah, man. The squirrel slithered onto my property. It was crazy, man. And I was kind of mad because I felt like whatever the injury was, you know what it reminds me of? Like you see them movies where somebody's like, they just got beat up, or like an axe murderer chasing them and they all bloody in the face and everything. They run up to somebody's crib and knocking on the door frantically, like, let me in. And the homeowner's like, Exactly. So this squirrel crawled onto my property, and I'm like, man, this thing don't look too good. But I saw it at nighttime, like 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, damn, that's a weird snake. That snake got a bushy tail. I was like, what kind of animal is this? So in the morning, I came out. I was like, maybe it'll slither away. Maybe just because it's nighttime. You know, I'm new to the suburbs thing, so I've heard of like nighttime animals. They do their thing at night, and they go back where they at, you know, in the daytime when humans is around. But this joint was still there, and I realized it was a squirrel. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, damn, that joint died. And then next thing I see it moving around. I'm like, it ain't dead. So it was a weird thing, because then I started thinking with like a legal brain. I was like, well, technically it ain't dead, so do I clean it up? But if I clean it up and it's still alive, ain't that a charge? And then so I had to Google the town's animal control, and I had to let them know, I'm like, it's alive, not that alive, but it's alive, so y'all got to deal with this. Mm-hmm. And I was hoping that it stayed alive until animal control came, because I was afraid that when they came, they'd be like, well, the squirrel's dead. This is a sanitation issue. This ain't a animal control issue.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, but luckily they came eventually before noon, when the squirrels would start baking under the sun and on some black asphalt.
Nah, it's I couldn't even imagine it, bro. I told one time, I don't even know if I had ever told you the story. One time I was just walking. I have a back stairwell, and I was walking into it one time, and I seen something like, you know how squirrels kind of like could run up trees, like straight up. Yeah, so it was running up the brick. I have like a brick back wall, and I remember seeing it just like scurry up it like moved fast as fuck. I couldn't even tell what it was, and then maybe like 2 days later. Because I was like, I ain't using that back stairwell for a while. I don't know what the fuck that was. And then like 2 days later, I'm walking down there, and it was just dead. It was just dead on the ground. And then I was like, fuck. And I came to the realization.
That tree starved to death. That's crazy.
I came to the realization though that it was gonna be me that had to move it. Because it was like, I know my landlord ain't about to drop everything to come pick up no dead squirrel. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, this shit is gonna be. I was like, man. And then I had like an old lady that lived underneath me. I was like, she ain't about to move this shit. So I was like, all right, fuck it. So I remember I went and I asked my neighbor to borrow his shovel, and I scooped that shit up and dumped it in the garbage. Yeah. That was the closest I came to some home ownership shit. Like, honestly, I was like, never again. Never again, because that shit would have popped up and started running around. I don't know what the fuck I would have done.
Yo, I know the feeling of, like, you see an animal out the corner of your eye, but you not prepared for that animal, so, like, you can't process some shit scurrying up a brick wall. So, like, at least for me, it wouldn't occur to me that it's a squirrel. I'm just like, yo, some being I don't know if it's of this earth or not, just went upwards up a wall. I'm gone. I am gone. I ever told you about when I lived in Harlem? There was this abandoned parking lot, like up this side street. And I was just walking up the, it was nighttime. And I'm just walking up the street and the parking lot is abandoned. So it's like kind of dark in there. And it had the chain link fence, the high joint that's like, was it like 8 to 10 feet high, something like that. Okay. And I'm just walking and I'm just looking at the fence incidentally. And I just see like a bright light, like just like a dim light. And I'm looking and I just see more of these lights. It's fucking raccoon eyes, man. I bounce. Like my brain couldn't compute. And I'm from the city, so like this joint, like I think in the around those years, raccoons, like the raccoon population in the city started to boost. And also people were feeding cats and the raccoons would take the cat food. And yeah, so man, I bounced. I called the city. I said, "Yo, this raccoon." They said, "Sir, are they?" Asked me if they had symptoms of rabies. Are they like chasing you in the daytime? I'm like, no. Are they doing this? I'm like, no. They say, "Oh, there's nothing we could do about it." I'm like, "You sure?" I said, "Raccoons, nigga. I don't think you heard me." Raccoons are in my community.
Didn't you tell me a story one time about a squirrel came into your apartment? Is that am I tripping? Like you?
Yeah, you might be tripping.
I thought no. Okay, man. I could have sworn somebody told me one time they had a squirrel like come through a bathroom window or some shit like that. Nah, man, yeah, I'm bugging me. You ever just be like, wasn't that you?
Mixing stories and shit.
Hell yeah, nah. Oh no, was it a bird? Maybe yeah, I don't know. But you never had no wildlife come into the crib.
Yeah, I probably had a bird or something like that. The squirrel thing, because something about rodents, man. That is, it's rodents. They hit different.
Yeah, nah, you don't want them in the crib at all. Like,
yeah,
I know a girl that went to throw away the garbage one time, and like how the squirrels go into like sometimes the little dumpsters have a little hole on them.
Yeah.
And the squirrel just hopped out and fucking like scratched the shit out of her.
Damn. See, like it's funny because that's what a lot of people fear. They're like, yo, I don't fuck with squirrels because they do X, Y, Z, and like you kind of laugh at them. Well, at least I laugh at them. Like squirrels are mad afraid of you. Yeah. But then like when you hear somebody actually get attacked by squirrels, like yo, damn.
Nah,
But you got to believe the survivors, bro.
Yo, I heard some crazy shit about the about rabies too. Like the survival rate is dumb low. Like if you got it, is this
ain't no. Is this some Alex Jones shit or is it like for real? Like I feel as if it's 2022. Like the treatment for rabies is on point.
They have to but they have to treat it like they have. So like you gotta act mad fast because after a certain point they can't do nothing for you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they gotta. Right. But remember, on The Office. I think Meredith got rabies because the bat was like she was in the bag with the bat or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, nah, but from what I hear, the rabies is like the survival rate of rabies is like 99.9% not in your favor.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, granted, this definitely ain't no medical show, given where we get our medical information from. But like on the Walking Dead and shit. The Walking Dead, like them joints be about brain diseases too, right? Rabies is a brain disease. So when you get bit by that joint, it happens fairly quickly. Like, at a certain point, like you can't do nothing. And usually you gotta, hopefully you get bit on your arm. They just amputate your arm, but they gotta do it quick before it circulates in your body.
Mm-hmm. Nah, niggas is like, should we kill him now? What y'all talking about over there? Nah, man, but there's been so much shit happening in the news. You just alluded to it, man. That Alex Jones shit was crazy, man. Your man at first he was ordered to pay $4 million, right, to the parents of Sandy Hook. But then, actually, right before we started recording this podcast, I seen the headline, $45.2 million more in punitive damages to Sandy Hook parents, man. It'd be like judges like to leave you with a cliffhanger. Be like, yeah, we're gonna hit you for $4 million, and then come back tomorrow. Niggas hit him with the 45 mil. Because when I first heard $4 million, I was like, I think Alex Jones could pay $4 million and still be good. Like, you know what I mean? He seems to be doing pretty good for himself. You know what I mean? And then 45 though.
Yeah, well, 45 plus 4, so it's almost 50
plus
million.
4, yeah, 49.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
yeah, man. That story. Let me tell you, the first thing I felt about the story. I don't know if this is right or wrong, but the first thing I felt was a certain level of relief, and here's why. Well, there's the relief of knowing that at least those parents get some level of vindication. I mean, nothing could replace you losing your kid, but some level of vindication. But the relief came from, I always had this thing of people who do this fake news shit. Do they really believe this, or are they just fucking with people? Like, are they just doing this for money or clout or whatever? And I would like to believe, I don't know which is worse, that if they don't believe it, but they saying this shit to get clout, or if they really do believe it, then it's like, well, they're sincere, but they're deranged. And I felt like,
But
well,
you know,
yeah, Alex Jones really doesn't believe this shit, so I was almost relieved, like, all right, there's still some humanity there. It's just that they, like, diabolical. They take this information and twist it like crazy and mislead people. So it's a crazy story.
So for anybody out there who doesn't know, Alex Jones claimed that the Sandy Hook shooting, which was the deadliest elementary school shooting in history, was a hoax, that it was something made up by anti-gun establishment, and that actually the parents that were seen mourning were actors, and pushed this claim for a while. And parents have brought cases against him, and this is just the first of it looks like a few that he has to look ahead to. Also, what else did I hear? That, like, you know what I think though? Matter of fact, what I think to what you said, Keith, is that, like, if you just made up bullshit, right? Like, let's say we just came on this podcast and we just made up bullshit, right? But then I guess we went to the comments and we seen, people really believe in our bullshit. It's like, I think there might be something addictive about keep pushing out the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that, so Alex Jones, whether he believed it or not, I think he saw power in it, and I think you saw the same thing with QAnon, that they're like, yo, we could just get as silly as fuck as we want with this shit. They gonna believe it. You know what I'm saying? And whether they believe it or not, whether they just consume it for information, it's leading to dollars in our pocket, right? It's leading to advertising. It's leading to whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, just interest in us in general, followers, everything, the social clout. So why would Alex Jones do it? But now you see why you can't. Like, your lies have consequences. Your lies really do affect people. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, like, what the fuck? Why would you get off on something of all the things to make up? You know what I'm saying? Like, these people, like, that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, you deserve everything you get fucking with these people, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the political leanings of that judge was, but or the jury or anything like that. But it comes to a point when you're for them, maybe they are conservative. Maybe they might even like Alex Jones or maybe shows like his. But when you're in a court of law and they're basing everything in facts that you could bring to court, that you could put in, that's fit to put into testimony, and you look at what he was saying and the circumstances in which he was saying it, you gotta just say like, yo, man, this shit is almost criminal. Yeah. If not criminal, they can't prosecute him because he's just saying stuff, but like, this stuff really is doing damage to the family, of course, but just to the society in general.
Exactly. Yeah, because you got a whole nation of people, one, believing this shit, and two, people that I guess smart enough to know what is bullshit, getting, like, influenced by it. Like, oh, I can just go out there and say any old thing? Like, you know what I'm saying? Nothing could come of it? Nah, like, there need to be consequences. Like, same thing when Cardi B had sued Tasha K a few months ago. I think everybody that does funny shit like this, like, why would you want to be known for that? Like, two things in life I wouldn't want to be known as is a thief and a liar. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, where could you go? Where are people going to ever trust you? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what you want your platform to be known for lying? And then, not even like, I guess there are people that I guess if you lied on them, society will be like, yeah, they deserve it. You know what I mean? Like, whatever, it's entertainment. They'll let it pass. Like, lie about the Kardashians. They're good. They're rich. Lie about this. You know what I'm saying? Just to use them as an example. Lie about Kanye. He's always in the news, da-da-da-da-da. But then it's like, the parents of the victims of Sandy Hook? Like, come on, bro. You gotta have a heart, man.
Yeah. You heard about that prank? Birds aren't real. Some dude, some kid, like, I don't know, maybe he's like 20, 23 years old, something like that. He just started spreading this thing that birds aren't real. They're like, I don't know what he said they were, like robots or like man-made or something like
Drones.
that. So when you see birds,
like that?
But that shit spread. Like, he did it as a goof, and he kept spreading it. And it's like, that was like the ultimate social experiment of what we're living through right now, as far as people trafficking in misinformation.
Yeah, and there's people that make a whole business. There's people who make a whole business of it, bro. They whole profile, they whole brand is that misinformation shit, and that's in my part sad because I really got respect for what I do. Like I like the fact that we get on here, we talk about stuff, but for some people we give them the information, right? We might be their first source to some of this information. I wouldn't want to be known for like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, Playboy said some wild shit on, you know what I mean? Like, that shit's living in the internet forever.
Right.
These niggas is purposely doing it. Like, purposely going out there for the it's just nutty to me, man. But other stuff going on, man, this week that just was a head scratcher and real nutty. What's your man? DJ Wiz Khalifa. You know what I'm saying? Going against the DJ community. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, we done took you in as one of our own, Wiz.
Yeah.
We don't let you rock. We don't let you rock. And then you see this video surface where Wiz is just going, just ham on looks like two DJs. Feeling very disrespecting them in the process, and just really not with the shits. Yeah, the video. You see the video, right, Keith?
Yeah, I saw it. Wiz Khalifa was just disrespecting them DJ. Yeah, I guess they didn't cue his song fast enough or something like that.
Well, from what I understand, like he wasn't very, he wasn't like impressed with their performance, so to speak. Like, so he was promoting, right? Like he wasn't like he wasn't DJing, and it wasn't like a full blown concert, but he was like basically hosting a party. It also was the day his album came out. He said he didn't like the way that they were like queuing up his songs. They weren't in the order that he wanted them. I've heard other reports that, you know, they were putting effects on it. I don't know if they were playing other records over the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like just if they were just bad DJs or if they was fucking up because they didn't understand how the equipment worked. There could be a number of things, you know what I'm saying, at play right there. But yeah, he was definitely not pleased with their performance as DJs.
Man. So this leads to another question. I mean, is this a widespread problem? This DJ abuse?
Nah. Well, did you see the DJ community kind of like banded together? Like, you know what I'm saying? Dope. Like my man had to do a press conference with DJ Drama behind him, like like Vanessa Bryant and shit. But like, you know, I got a DJ in my corner. But nah, it's because here's the thing. A DJ it's a service industry, right? Mm-hmm. There's people who make, you know what I'm saying, millions of dollars off of just being wedding DJs or something like that. You're at the service of the people that are hired for you. So in this particular scenario, I don't know the details, but it's very possible those dudes were DJing that night, but they never met Wiz, so they never DJ'd for him. They never did anything for him. He hands him a flash drive, and you know what I'm saying? It's possible they were just thrown off. Like, maybe they don't use flash drives. Maybe whatever, you know what I'm saying? Maybe they're not familiar with the equipment at the club. So it's like, as DJs, you're always trying to please, right? You're trying to please the audience. You're trying to please the host. You're trying to please the artist in this particular place. You're trying to please the party promoter. And it's you know what I'm saying? You don't always hit every bar, right? You don't always hit everybody. But to be, like, publicly embarrassed like that is taking it to another level. You could have pulled him aside, you know what I'm saying? And it's very uncharacteristic for Wiz. And full disclosure, I'm a big Wiz Khalifa fan, so I wish it didn't happen like that. But Wiz knows what he did was corny because, you know what I'm saying, it could have went down another way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It really could have went down another way. Now, I don't know the disrespect. And Wiz came out with it, you know, he was on Breakfast Club, and he did what kind of seemed like an apology. You know what I'm saying? And, like, he seems like he's remorseful for it and knows where he went wrong. It's something that people just do in the moment. Like, people don't like being embarrassed, right? On both ends. Like, if you're performing, you don't want your performance to be thrown off because of somebody else. Like, whether it's the light man. You could be a comedian and some dude's doing the lights. And that shit could fuck your whole shit up. Or the mic, you know what I'm saying? He could be the sound guy. And it's like, yo, why does my mic sound like shit? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you kind of got to roll with it, though, with a sense of professionalism. But that doesn't always happen. And that's the same thing for DJs. I've seen DJs, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man DJ Show, you know what I'm saying? Like, if somebody's in the booth and they disrespect, like I see this girl touch the turntable one time. My man shut everything down and kicked her out. She didn't appreciate that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And to play devil's advocate, he might have could have handled that another way. You know what I'm saying? But it's like no one wants to be publicly embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? And it's like Wiz went ham on the DJs. There's even a part where he's like smacking their hats off.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's disrespect. Like that.
Yeah, he's like rapping. He's performing, and they're like trying to like play shit. He's like smacking their hat off. They look like one of them looks back and says something to him. He smacks his hat off. I'm like, yo, Wiz is on one. That Wiz is on one, bro.
On PCP Johnson.
And it's like, Wiz one of them niggas is like, damn, bro. I done seen him practicing MMA for the past 5 years.
You don't know. Between his bodyguards or just him, he got that body like Sagat from Street Fighter. You don't quite know how you should handle this.
He like, damn, this nigga Wiz fucking take me to fucking Bloodsport right now. Nah, but shout out to Wiz, man. He didn't have to do that. Well, no, actually, I think he did have to do that. Like, you don't want DJs banding together to not play your music. On top of that, once again, and I'm saying this as a Wiz Khalifa fan, Wiz Khalifa's music doesn't play in that many, you know what I'm saying, like, avenues. Like, he kind of has his own lane, right? But I don't hear his music heavy on the radio. I don't really hear, a heavy critique about his art from, like, DJs and stuff like that. So it's like, you don't want to be in a position where they're actively not playing your music. And then I guess he just has a respect for the craft as well. You know what I'm saying? And just being a performer and knowing that there are many elements to it and there's a lot of ways to handle stuff. So, yeah, shout out to Wiz, man. I think he see what it is. And shout out to all the DJs out there. Show some love to a DJ. Understand, it is not an easy job. Keith, you done been on some gigs with me where we just want to play. We just want to play. I know we getting paid to be here. But you know what I'm saying? Can we get a plate? We got to watch all y'all eat.
Mad, dehydrated, and hungry.
It is what it is, man. It's the game, man. Keith, I know you heard that new Beyonce album, dog. What you think of it?
That joint, what the youngins say now, it's a whole vibe. It's a whole vibe, man. That album is just pure vibe. Like, you just throw it on, and you just get lost in it. I was doing work today. And I was just listening to it, and 3 hours in, I'm like, oh man, I'm still listening to this shit. Like, I was just like, I just had to take a break for a second because it was too much vibe. Like, it felt like I was dancing. I was just sitting doing work on the couch, but it felt like I was dancing. Like my heart rate was up too long.
Nigga said, why my shoulder?
Yeah, man, it just felt like my body just felt like. I paused it and just picked something, like a new playlist, and I just took a breath. I was like, it's kind of like when you go to the bathroom and it smells like pee, but like somehow it's refreshing. Like the AC hits a little different in the club because the dance floor is mad like moist.
Yeah, it's mad sweaty and musty, and yeah. You like, I just want to be somewhere different.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like that, but in a good way though, not because the sweaty and mustiness you enjoy it, but it's like I just need a break. So that's what it was like. So this isn't a bad thing. It was a good thing. So you could do anything to that album. Because I was doing work. Like I was trying to concentrate. But you could also clean to that shit. You could work out to it. I'm sure the cycling classes, the spin classes are going off on it. It's a dope album.
Now, shout out to Beyonce Renaissance. If you haven't heard it, go check it out.
Real quick, you know what mistake I made? I like listening to NPR every now and then. They got some joint called the Pop Culture Podcast, but like the people on is way too smart. So sometimes they be over intellectualizing stuff, and they're talking about shit like with the Afro beats and the this, and then they'll bring in, I guess like I don't know what the genre of music is called. I don't know if it's called house or whatever it is. Like in the '80s, the subgenre was like big in the gay community or the LGBT community, in New York or wherever. And I'm like, man, this is too much, man. The album is dope. And all this history and context and shit, I don't need it.
Nigga Keith, I already know how to vote. I don't need no history lesson on it. I like how everybody shitted on Drake's album, and then Beyonce shit come out, everybody dancing to it. Drake shit wasn't bad. I think it's like, yo, once people start some like a snowball or momentum of shit, like an opinion online, everybody just runs with it. And I guess what Drake did, he didn't like give you the heads up for this project at all, so it just kind of threw people off. But I don't think it was a bad project.
Well, you're saying it's not bad, but is it good? Like when you step out like that, it got to be good.
That's true, yeah, but I don't think it's to the level of hate that people give it. I think it's just it's like a funny target. You know what I'm saying? But not to take anything away from Queen Miss Beyonce. Let's stay focused on Renaissance and the work of art that it is. But what I was gonna say is, unfortunately, if you haven't heard it yet, you aren't gonna hear it in its original, like, you know, in original form. I mean, unless you got it on CD, maybe, because on streaming there's been some changes. And that brings me to our favorite segment of the show, Keith. Have you heard? I bring headlines to the table and I see if my man Keith has heard. Dog. Beyonce had to remove 2 things from her album. The word spaz and a Khalees sample that I still haven't been able to recognize. Have you heard, brother?
I have not heard that, but that's very interesting because I heard a similar case with Lizzo. It was similar. She may have used the word spaz.
Same exact situation. Lizzo, the spaz community is heavy out there. Oh no, can I say that? My fault. the anti-spaz, anti-word, people against the word spaz is heavy out there, and they did come for Lizzo first, and then they came for Beyonce, who used the word on her song "Heated." So I mean, we came up with that word, right, Keith? Like,
yeah.
What I've always known, right? You spaz is like you try to dunk, right? Isn't that what they like you try to dunk it and then it miss, like Grand Hill drinks, right? And
yeah,
that was
spasm.
the first, I think that's spaz, right? Yeah, so that was the first term I heard it as. That's what it was introduced to me. Then it was like, yo, I'm about to spaz on you, like
exactly same exact thing.
You got about 3 seconds left, and then I'm just about to go off, and I cannot be held responsible for my actions. You know what I'm saying? After this warning, this is about the only warning you're gonna get. So for me, and I think Beyonce and Lizzo as well, I guess, you know, similarity, we're all of the same race, is that spazzing, I guess maybe in the first way that I used it on a basketball court is a negative, right? Nobody wants to spaz. But in the second way, it's not necessarily a negative. It's like, yo, I'm going ham. Like, I'm about to go, you know what I'm saying? The way that Beyonce...
But
the way Beyonce used it. In the way Beyonce used it, I should say.
She used it. She used it in the second way, like I'm about to spaz on you.
Yes, I'm. What's the line? I'm trying to see what it is. But give me 1 second. She basically used it in the term. Yeah, like I would say the second way. Yeah, here we go. She said, "Spazzing on that ass, spaz on that ass." Which she now had to change it to blasting on that ass, blast on that ass. But either way, I don't think she was using it in a derogatory term. Now, also, it's not for me to decide what terms should be derogatory and not if someone's offended by it, right? Especially if I'm not of that community, because you're not going to tell me what words I can and cannot be offended by, you know what I mean, in my daily life. So I respect it. But I there wouldn't be no cancellation. Not that anyone was trying, but you know what I'm saying? Because we know that's not how she used. She wasn't trying to hurt nobody's feelings. And the fact that she was willing to take it off shows I'm Queen Beyonce. I do what I want, and if y'all want it off, here you go.
Yeah. Well, to the point that you finished off with, if we're not in a position to say how bad is it really, regardless of the intent, because we've seen many instances throughout our lives, throughout our history, where it was like, well, we didn't mean it like that, but really it had the history of the word, even though the word has been molded and handed down to the point where we don't even know the origin of it. You know what I'm saying? We're just not in a position. I go by the rule of, I remember one time Ta-Nehisi Coates had his interview, and I can't remember what word they were asking him about. I think it was about like pronouns, or maybe like the name somebody may want to be called, or their gender identity, something like that. And he pretty much said that at the end of the day, if they want to be called that, like that's them. The minimum respect you give them is to call them that. If they feel that their name or their identity or whatever it is that's how they are to be identified. They make the rules with regard to that. So who are we to say otherwise? Like that's not right or that's ridiculous or whatever it is. And generally, I live by that maxim. So I feel as if I get it. You know what I'm saying? And I also get the point of, you know, we've been using it for so many years that I haven't realized, because this, not until Lizzo, right? I'm in my late 30s. Not until Lizzo did I know that did it occur to me that spaz in that way was like a derogatory thing, referring to someone who has spasms. However, the one instance in which I knew it was like when I used to watch like white teenage shows. They will call someone a spaz, like if they're a nerd or like they're not coordinated. They'll call someone a spaz, and I got the sense that can't be, that's insulting to someone, and they're implying that, you know, somehow this person is like someone with a disability. That I knew, but those two definitions that we grew up with, the one being you came up short on the dunk, the second one being that I'm about to get real. You know, I'm about to black out pretty much on you. That those definitions I didn't even realize connected to that concept of someone who's spasmic.
Yeah, exactly. Like I didn't put the two together, because even when I heard that term, like you just said, in white popular culture, and I knew by the connotation that it was derogatory, I didn't correlate it with that. I correlated it with like back spasms.
Same.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, like I literally never. I was like, oh yeah, because you're like a dude having back spasms. Like you're awkward in your movements.
Well,
you're like,
the basketball thing, I think it's like that, because when you dunk, you go mad hard, and when the momentum hits the front of the rim because you came up short, like your body kind of bends backwards. That's the way I interpreted it. Before people said you spaz, when I was introduced to that term, if somebody missed a dunk like that, they'd be like, oh, spasm. They say the whole word.
But yeah, no. So apparently, you know what I mean, add that to the list of things that will get you canceled nowadays. But I say that with all due respect. If someone is truly offended by it, then you know what I mean. Then I guess we gotta cut the word. Cause right, there's when we were younger, you know, like terms like retard or the derogatory F word. You know what I'm saying? Is like it did not. Now those were a little bit, you know what I mean, less, like, I think spaz was a little bit more vague than those were.
Yeah.
Because those were definitely used as insults. But it's also, like, it wasn't necessarily used in the connotation always to disrespect the group of people that I guess are offended most by it. But however, that doesn't mean, like, all right, cool, we gonna let y'all rock with it. You know what I mean? Like, someone's offended. So I respect the game on that.
Right.
Keith, have you heard William Smith, also known as Will Smith, has issued a second apology to Chris Rock and his family?
A second one? When was the first?
First was, I think, via social media. I think he like wrote it. It was written, and then this one was like on video.
I have heard about that. I didn't even realize the first one. Yeah, I heard about that joint. And you know, I saw it, and what I realized is that when you're a certain level of celebrity, like a lot of the parts of your celebrity life and your identity is just very ingrained and very part of who you are. And the reason I say that is because the product placement was crazy. He had the branded Will Smith hat, and he had the Just Water. I think his son owns has a large share of that Just Water joint in the box.
In the box water.
Yeah. And and it was just like a well-produced joint, like when a president comes on and you got to issue a statement or something that they just went to war or something like that. That's what it was like. And I was like, man, this is kind of like manufactured, but I'm like, that's what Will Smith is. That dude, especially with his YouTube presence nowadays, That's probably he probably just jumped in front of the camera and like it's just the setup is so dope that that's just how it is, and he probably needed to drink some water, and that's the water that was there. But it's just like everything looks so polished. It didn't feel like a raw apology, but I trust that he's truly apologetic for it because I believe Will Smith is a good dude, and who he was that night, he probably couldn't even believe it. He knows it's wrong. Like he's raised kids, he has like 3 kids, and and 2 boys, so he knows what a man should look like. He knows what a man shouldn't look like, and what he was that night is definitely not what a man should look like, especially a man in his 50s and what he did to a man in his 60s. Like that was just horrible.
In his 60s? Damn.
Yeah, I think.
He slapped a 60-year-old dog?
Yeah. Yep.
Damn. Nah, and I've heard people, their beef with Will Smith's apology was what you just alluded to, like a little too polished, right? You seem kind of like fake, you know what I'm saying? Like rehearsed, you know what I mean? Which doesn't mean it's not genuine, right? Wiz Khalifa's apology didn't, you know what I'm saying, was also kind of like, it seemed like something he rehearsed it, you know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that it's not genuine. It's like you don't kind of want to be stuttering over your words over something like that, or you want to kind of be focused on getting your point across as opposed to searching for the next word. So I get that, and I respect Will for apologizing. Will doesn't have to apologize. I think if Will's gonna lose anything, he already lost it, right? And if he's gonna gain anything, it's not gonna be based off of how he handles the situation. It's gonna be based off of people's faith in him moving forward. So I don't think he had a gun to his head in this scenario. However, yeah, like you said, that polish, that manufactured, that here's the branding, here's the logo, you know what I'm saying? It was just like, and I say that with a DJPLICCAPLAYBOY, backdrop behind me. You know what I'm saying? But it's just, it's like, I guess maybe I don't think it should take anything away from it because it is Will Smith. It's not out his personality. It's not out of what we know him to be or know him to move. So I don't take anything away from him. Now shout out to Chris Rock. I heard Chris Rock has not accepted either of his apologies, and he doesn't have to. You know what I'm saying? Like the apology could be put out there, and it doesn't make Will Smith less of a man. Sorry, excuse me, Chris Rock like being petty or less of a man because he doesn't want to accept it. I've also heard people say something like, "Yo, you're making jokes about it," and da da da. But it's like, this is right. He was disrespected. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you don't gotta forgive somebody just because they say something. Now I do believe in forgiveness, and I believe in, you know what I'm saying, reconciliation, and when the time is right for it. But I don't think Chris Rock can move the way Chris Rock wants to move because I've never been smacked in my face in front of the entire world. So. My opinion on this is null and void. Chris Rock is the expert on this, and he's gonna move the way he's gonna move.
Yeah, Chris Rock is 57, so excuse me, but he's pushing 60. But even so, the point is that, man, things like that just ain't supposed to happen. It's just not supposed to happen between these dudes. It's just not. And for it to happen in that way, like, is crazy.
Exactly. Oh snap! I ain't even. Shit. You know what? Have you heard? Did you hear about the Khalees and Beyonce beef?
Khalees and Beyonce?
Yeah, when Beyonce's album had first dropped, Khalees was like sampled on a song.
But you said that Beyonce changed a Khalees sample and the spaz thing.
And the spaz lyric. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she had to she took that off because Khalees came out with like a live and she was kind of beefing like, yo, why am I finding out with the rest of the world that I'm apparently sampled on Beyonce's album. So she felt some type of way. Seemed like her beef was more like at Pharrell and the Neptunes than necessarily Beyonce, but she did definitely throw some shots at Beyonce in there. So Beyonce did take that liberty to take that off the album as well, which I'm not sure why it inspired Monica Lewinsky,
oh Lord,
to want to hop out. And I think Monica was joking. I think people were taking it serious. I think Monica was like, this is just a good tweet. But Monica Lewinsky definitely was like, you think we could get that lyric off a partition? Above it, she tweeted, while we're at it, hashtag partition. because Beyonce sings Monica Lewinsky all on my gown.
Well, first I'll address the Lewinsky part. I think Monica Lewinsky has, I guess, similar to how Chris Rock makes jokes about the slap. Like she kind of, I guess, to soften the blow, because people probably, I don't know, like make her the butt of the joke. It's kind of like the bunny rabbit thing from 8 Mile. How Eminem just dissed himself, kind of. She
Yeah.
in certain cases she doesn't take herself too seriously, and so I'm not surprised she did that. I suspect that was she serious? I suspect that she was joking halfway.
I don't think so, but the Beehive. The Beehive. They came for her. So they was like, Beyonce the only ones who don't put your name in some lyrics. You need to take that heat somewhere else. But like I said, I don't even think Monica Lewinsky was she wanted to smoke like that. I think she just was like, my whole name is in one of your songs. If we taking lyrics off,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying.
But to the Khalees point, Khalees and Beyonce could have just been like, "Listen, I know who I paid, dog. Searchlight Publishing."
She could. Which actually, I think her taking it off is actually in being petty, but I respect it. It's like a respectful. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta go petty wop on them. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody was talking about you before this, Khalees, and let's go back to that. Let's just take her off.
Yeah,
You know
and
what
also
I'm saying?
I feel as if like this stuff is so, not the spaz thing necessarily, but like this particular thing is like Beyonce's status. So there's a certain status where you're like, I'm so big I could just squash them. So I'm gonna keep this spaz thing on, and nobody's gonna hurt my status. And Khalees could be mad, but I know who I paid. So like I got the rights to the sampler, however that works. So whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she's beyond that stat. Like Beyonce is like on a different level where it's like I don't even want to be. I can't have my name circulating around these types of conversations. I'd rather just take it off and just let people continue basking in my vibe versus having these debates over lyrics and samples and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Because you're giving more attention, not necessarily to the enemy, but to people who don't really deserve your shine.
Right.
Keith, have you heard 4 current and former Louisville police officers were federally charged in Breonna Taylor's death?
I saw the headline. I haven't gotten a chance to read up on it yet, but definitely a step forward because I think they weren't. I don't think they were charged, or one person. Oh, they weren't charged. I think one guy was charged just because he on the state local type level because he discharged a round like into a neighbor's apartment or something like that. But other than that, no.
Wanton endangerment.
Right. But other than that, no. So yeah, the federal government coming for them.
874 days. Tamika's Palmer, who is Breonna Taylor's mom, has been waiting, for these charges to be placed since this has happened, man. And it looks like about 5 of the cops are being charged for things as far as like approving a false affidavit to obtain a search warrant, trying to cover up stuff after the fact, recklessness when entering the apartment, and it's about time. I hope something does come of it. You know what I mean? Like, let's get this moving because not only was it done wrong, and they followed they lived by that protect the shield code, but it was like then we was in terms of protecting the shield, y'all just covered everything up. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yeah, that's a crime. Like whether you want to, everything was a crime, but at the end of the day, that you went too far by covering the shit up, and you got to pay for that.
Yeah. I mean, in a related story, speaking about federal charges, I think all the cops have a verdict's been in the murder of George Floyd. All those cops on a federal level have been, I think they've all been convicted. Yeah, and sentenced, if I'm not mistaken. If not all, then most of them, including Derek Chauvin himself. And just the other guys aside from Chauvin who are charged, I wonder to what level, like when they reflect, like they just like, man, I really wish they didn't put me on the same shift as that dude.
Changes your life, man. Changes your life, man. And it's easy as one decision, man. And somebody else whose life has been changed based off of one decision, also facing conviction, is Brittany Griner. Keith, have you heard? 9-year sentence handed down to Miss Brittany Griner in Russia for smuggling drugs, aka less than a gram of hash oil.
Yeah, man, that's a really sad story because it's just really sad, man. That joint is crazy because there's that political aspect to it, and then now they're talking about negotiating a prisoner swap, and then there's the component of Paul Whelan, I think, the other American prisoner in Russia. It's all just really sad. And then on top of that, the Russia-Ukraine war, all that stuff is just really depressing, man. And see Brittany Griner like that, she just went over there to work. And now they saying 9, like if this prisoner swap doesn't go through, she's serving 9 years. That's crazy.
And it would be a lot easier cut and dry, right? I guess like Lynn Bias, right? Rest in peace. Like, you know what I mean? He was a cautionary tale for us. Like, stay away from cocaine. This dude was a top athlete. You know what I'm saying? Like, he did something. His heart couldn't handle it. He died. Like, learn from it. But Brittany Griner, is like marijuana is legal where she's from. You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, we all know not to take it on airplanes, right? And take it overseas, but it's not like a thing where it could be like, hey, don't end up like Brittany. Don't do drugs, because you know what I'm saying? The kids of today will be looking at it as the medicine of tomorrow, if not of today. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, whether Brittany was using it for recreational use or medical use, it's just the fact that you can't even hit it with the cautionary, don't do drugs or learn from this, or, you know what I mean, don't make the same mistakes Brittany did. Because the punishment doesn't fit the crime. You know what I'm saying? Like, in no aspect of the world, no corner of the world should you get 9 years for that amount of anything. Unless it's fentanyl, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, it's bizarre. I do wish Brittany the best, man, and I do think Brittany is gonna come home. But this shit sucks, bro. You know what I mean? And the uncertainty of it can't be healthy at all.
Yeah, and
thoughts and prayers are with her.
And I think about a lot of ball players who play professionally in like China, right? Another country who their relationship with America is tense, and things that, depending on how the geopolitical situation goes, China might want to say, you know what, we're gonna come down on some American citizens if they do something. You know what I'm saying? And I wonder how much fear those people got. Like, my job, we do some business in China, and they say, yeah, you might have to go there at some point. And I'm like, especially after this Brittany Griner thing, it's like, man, I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's scary. It really is scary. It almost reminds me of like when you hear bad stories about people doing a road trip down south or something like that. You don't want to do it. So this is like 50 times worse.
Mm-hmm. Nah, don't let nobody else pack your bags, man. Double check that shit, brother.
Well, is that the case that somebody else packed it?
No, she said she didn't do it on purpose, but she thinks like in the rush of, just trying to get it out of the country, it was like in a bag somewhere. She just forgot to take it out.
Oh, okay.
Amon Shumpert actually this week too. He got bagged with like 6 ounces of marijuana.
What was his
less time to hook.
What was his case? Because I was in the gym and I saw I didn't hear it. What happened to Amon Shumpert?
I believe he was at an airport. Let me just double check this. But he did have a lot of 6 ounces is a good amount. Yep, it was at a Texas airport. Cannabis possession. 6 ounces is a lot to be like, oh, I forgot I had that on me. And in Texas, more than 4 ounces is a felony.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah, cause what cause 4 ounces would be what, a quarter of a pound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, more than a quarter of a pound of weed on. Yeah, so he got bagged up. So we wish both of them the best. But even if it went down, Amon Shumpert, you know what I mean, he would still get less time than Brittany got.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. He might not get any
Mm.
time.
And that's in Texas.
Right.
So we'll see how that goes. We wishing them all the best, man. Key, before we get up out of here, man, I want to know, have you heard? These celebrities have been going ham with these private planes. Man, I don't know if you heard, but Kylie Jenner caught a little bit of flack for the amount of there's like this Twitter page that follows, basically tracks how many miles celebrities are doing on their private jets. And Kylie Jenner, she's through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And that caused people to look through, at other people's stuff and came up with a top 10 list of celebrities not named Kylie Jenner that are running up the CO2 emissions with their private jets. I'm going to run through this list real quick for you, though. Number 10, Kylie's husband, Travis Scott. Number 9, Oprah. Number 8, Mark Wahlberg. Number 7, Kim Kardashian. Number 6, Steven Spielberg. So just to let you know where we're at right now, right? Steven Spielberg at number 6 was 4,000 tons of CO2, which is 600 times more than the average person would make in a year.
Mm-hmm.
He's that's number 6. Number 5, Blake Sheldon. Number 4, A-Rod. Number 3, Jigga Man. Number 2, Floyd Mayweather. And number 1, the GOAT herself, Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift racked up 170 flights on her private jet since January. It's only August, people. And CO2 emissions at 8,293 tons, which equals over 1,000 times more than me and you, Keith.
So Kylie Jenner was what number on that list?
Kylie Jenner wasn't on that list. I can get Kylie Jenner's numbers, but they made the list because I think something came out about Kylie Jenner.
Got it.
And the amount of that she uses her private jet, and I think she does. I think that Kylie Jenner too. She was using a private jet not to go very far.
Right. That's what that's the little bit I heard of this story. Like she would just go like maybe a couple towns away or something like that.
Yeah.
Or so across the state or something like that. Who's like what corner of Twitter is beefing with her? Like, you know how this Black Twitter, is there like a econo mode Twitter?
With beefing with Kylie or someone else. Oh yeah, it's just it was anti-Kardashian.
Oh, okay.
Anti-Kardashian Twitter.
Because
but now they're coming for Taylor Swift. Though,
got it.
Like, then they looked into it and be like, oh, Taylor's wilding.
Yeah.
So now they coming for Taylor.
I feel like it's just easy marks.
And I guess
people who would care about it, because maybe they said, should we go after Jay-Z's number 2? It's like, would he care? Like, what? You know what I'm saying? So they probably
Floyd Mayweather too. Yeah, exactly. Mayweather. Nobody's saying nothing about him.
Right.
But they coming for Taylor. From what I hear, Taylor Swift is a big part of, like, they let their families use it, and a lot of people rent out their private jets.
Right.
So this website's tracking the jet, not the person actually being on it.
Right.
But I mean, so like that's a business for a lot of people. They use it like Airbnbs. They kind of rent out their private jets when they're not using it. The thing with Taylor Swift, I think they said a lot of flights went to Missouri or left from Missouri, and I guess her mom has family there, so they're thinking the mom might be using it a lot to visit, relatives. Which doesn't help her case. But I guess it looks a little bit better that it's not Taylor doing all the flights.
Yeah. So this goes, the sentiment that I think about the sentiment I have, with the business about the using the word spaz and stuff like that, just as far as like the people who are offended, they, generally they get to choose the terms under which they're offended. Like they're offended. However,
Mm-hmm.
it's very easy to not necessarily get on board with this type of person that would talk against it, because a lot of them are privileged. Like it's not like an oppressed group. per se. I know the planet is on the line. Like, we're already seeing some horrible effects of climate change. But I'm like, I don't know what to say. I'm just like, yeah. It reminds me of the people like gluing themselves to the floor of playoff games in the NBA. I kind of felt like, people gluing themselves to the counter of Starbucks because they charge extra for almond milk, and they just be giving people cow's milk or whatever. Like, if I get it, I'm just like, yeah. Like, this fast thing I get, because like if you're a group that's a minority and fairly challenged in some way, and maybe people don't pay as much regard to you, then it's like, listen, I gotta speak up. Like, you can't just use the word. It means something that maybe you didn't realize it means, but it hurts me. But this is kind of, they're going after easy targets, and these people are rich and powerful, so it's easy in the sense that there are a lot of people, as many people who love them, there's a lot of people who also hate them because they love to hate them. And it's like, hey, let's jump on Taylor Swift. Let's skip Floyd Mayweather and Jay-Z and all these people, and let's go to Taylor Swift and Kylie Jenner, who's not even in the top 10.
Exactly. And then the thing too, we all hypocrites, dog. Like, we all do some shit. You know what I'm saying? We all laugh at something we probably shouldn't be like. I remember early, like, I remember us being in like maybe high school, junior high school, and coming to the realization, I'll say high school maybe, is that like, in order for us to be funny, someone has to get offended. Now, it's up to them how offended they get, right?
Yeah.
But someone has to be the butt of the joke. And that's just how it is with a lot of things. Like, I recycle a lot. I also use a lot of paper plates and plastic forks.
Yep.
I don't like doing dishes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I do my part, but I'm sure if you wanted to paint me in a certain light, you could use statistics to paint me in a whole different light. You know what I'm saying? And I think that goes for everybody. There's certain shit I laugh at, right? I'll be in a comedy, whatever, like, venue, and I'll laugh at certain jokes, and then there's certain places where somebody makes a joke, and I'll be like, that shit ain't funny.
Right.
That shit is offensive, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we are all hypocritical. I can't even say the word. We're all hypocrites. We all hypocritical at times, and it's just gonna reach a point where it's like, yo, just let people live. Like, you would do the same thing if you were these people.
Yeah, you ain't taking
would do the same thing.
You ain't hopping on a Delta flight, and you're not taking no 6-hour road trip to wherever you're going, and you can't have you
to be surrounded by mad people, to be, no
right.
privacy, everybody in your face. Nah.
Right, and you gotta travel for these jobs, so they can't be just riding normal shit. Like, Floyd Mayweather is 5'7", about $145, $150. You can't just be around people, and people hate him, so you gotta fly private.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking, though? It's probably Kylie Jenner who came out with this information about Taylor Swift. Get all that shit off of her. Yeah. She's like, let me drop a top 10.
Yeah.
Drop a little BuzzFeed list for these people out here.
Word.
Coming from my head, man. And Keith, that's another episode in the books. My fault. It sounded like you had another thought. What was that?
No, I was about to say, if these people had Kyler. I'm about to say Kyler Murray's money. If they had Kylie Jenner's money, man, they would be on that private jet. They would at least be on, like, in first class.
Yeah, nigga, man. There's not. Look, I've heard that private jets are pretty expensive, so I know there's people out there who just like, nah. If you're Mark Wahlberg rich, Steven Spielberg rich, Oprah Winfrey rich, you're gonna do it. It's just I don't see many people not. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, man.
Yeah.
But that is another episode in the books, my guy. Always a pleasure doing an episode with you. Where can my people find you at on social media, brother?
Instagram, Mima_35.
Of course. You can find your man DJ Playboy on Instagram at Pliccapeezy, PLICCAPEEZY. Also, you can find me on Twitter at DJ Playboy. Follow Perfect Talk Podcast. On Instagram at Perfect Talk Radio. Also check out the website perfecttalkpodcast.com for every episode of the Perfect Talk Podcast, my radio show The Night Shift, and the radio show I do with my guy DJ Show, Money Talks Radio. Every episode of Perfect Talk Podcast is also available on Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and the big dog, Apple Podcasts. So check us out right there. And leave a rating, leave a like, leave a review. Check us out on YouTube as well. You know what I'm saying? We got episodes on there. So make sure you subscribe, leave a rating, and like it. Yo, Keith, I don't know if you had a chance to check out. I had Spec on here for a couple of episodes. And Spec's a good podcaster, man, because Spec don't give a fuck. Like, you know Spec. Like, in conversations, he's never been one of those people to not say his opinion out of the fear that, like, he'll be embarrassed. But I think what makes him a really good podcaster is he doesn't have social media. So he's not trying to impress anybody. And he doesn't really care about your opinions if you don't agree with him. Like, my man was defending Chick-fil-A offering food for compensation. You know what I'm saying? He got some hot takes though, but he made some really good points.
He's a capitalist.
Yeah. Specs that guy, man. Just through conversation, man. You talk to people, and I don't know, like, I get to know my friends a lot better, I guess, through podcasting than I would through normal conversations, I guess, because it's just certain shit just never comes up, man, and it's always interesting, just to see where your head's at, what's going on in your guys' world. So this is a part of the show that I like a lot, when you tell people exactly what it is that you are rocking out to nowadays. I know you rock with that Beyonce album, but what else you rocking with, my man?
Well, right now I'm watching the series finale, or the final season of Better Call Saul.
Okay.
That's a spin-off of Breaking Bad. So it's the last couple episodes coming up. So the streets is buzzing about that. I'll be honest. It has a lot of critical acclaim. Show's not as good as Breaking Bad. And honestly, it's not as good as, like, a lot of other shows. I feel as if, like, I've been in this world. Breaking Bad came out probably, like, in the late 2000s, early 10s. And it's like, this is like the final finishing it off, and I gotta see this through. But solid show, though. I definitely recommend it.
It's like Star Wars. Like, you're in that universe at this point, right? For that many years invested, right?
Exactly. So, like, Black Panther, I looked at the trailer. I'm like, not that excited for it, but gotta see it. It's homework. I can't not see it.
No, very true. Very true. That shout out to that Black Panther trailer. Looks tough, too. Angela Bassett doing her thing. Looking forward to that.
Yep.
But yeah, man. We up out of here, brother. Always a pleasure doing the episode with you, man. You stay healthy out there, and say goodbye to the people, man.
Peace.
Peace.